Cyber Games 2008 U.S. National Finals kicking off for Sunday. You guys, StarCraft? You guys ready for some StarCraft? There we go.
Nas, it's over.
We got a lower match coming up here. Let's just check a little bit around the room today. Looks like people are still filtering in. Remember, Samsung Mobile still going for a little bit. If you want a chance to go to Germany, win some money, and go over to Samsung. You guys are on it. We also will be doing free stuff today. Right after the StarCraft match, you'll see free stuff up there. You know what to do. We got some really good free stuff today. Also check out Samsung Mobile in here. Go over there for gears if you want to wait in line. Check out Philips Ambience. I'm not going to say anything, but we may have a special surprise from Philips Ambience today. You okay over there? Here we go, Chad. All right, up next is StarCraft. Calling it for you is Diggity and Mole Trap. Here we go.
Anyone that can hear my voice, you're going to want to come over here to the main stage. You are not going to want to miss this, ladies and gentlemen. Someone out there, you sir, come on over here, come on over here. Who here plays Guitar Hero? Anyone watching the Guitar Hero? The gentlemen playing this game are going to be moving their hands faster than Guitar Hero. Who likes Counter-Strike? All the strategy in Counter-Strike, all in one person's brain, ladies and gentlemen. StarCraft is one of the fastest games in esports here. We're going to have two of the top players in the United States facing off. Let me introduce you to them right now. First of all, hailing all the way from the exotic land of Texas, we're going to have David Fells. Kind of coming out of nowhere here, one of the surprise Protoss players, made it to the top 3. David Fells. Louder! Come on out here, ladies and gentlemen. David Fells. Facing off in this loser bracket final. The winner of this match is going to be going on to the final match. We have another one of the best Protosses in the nation here. Eric Rothmuller, hailing all the way from the distant, faraway place of Northern California. G5! All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get the match started here in just a minute. Again, everyone out there, if you can hear me, you're not going to want to miss this. This is going to be an epic matchup. Both these players have been playing their carcasses off this entire weekend. They have been showing some excellent skills and some ridiculous StarCraft. You are not going to want to miss this. Let's go ahead and get the game started here.
It's hard to get at a higher stage than this. You're going to end up seeing guys not only playing at a very high level, not only with very high APM.
We can't hear you.
All right. Check, check, check. All right, there I am. You're not only going to see guys playing at a very high level, seriously, I'm not even kidding. They talk about actions per minute. These guys can hit in upwards of 300 actions per minute. Average, I would say an average human could probably do 30, and people who aren't paying attention do 40. 300 actions per minute.
That means they're issuing 300 commands to the game in every single minute, ladies and gentlemen.
And unbelievably, sometimes people just spam when they're playing this game. I was watching Louder the other day, and it was unbelievable. Every single movement counted. He was doing 5 things at once and keeping track of every single unit on the field.
That's right. Both these players, like I said, we've been watching these players all weekend. It's been absolutely incredible to watch them play. It's just going to be absolutely ridiculous here. Both these players coming from opposite sides of the bracket here. I believe they were in different groups. Right. So they haven't really played up. Did they play?
G5 played Nooney in the initial. I don't think Louder played Nooney.
Right. So these players haven't actually gone up against each other this weekend yet. So this is going to be the first time that we're going to be able to see what exactly these two players can bring against each other. All right, so this is going to be absolutely intense. Both these players, by the way, kind of weren't really the favorites. So it's kind of amazing to see them here in like the second, third place match to move on to the final. Also, both of these players are the only other 2 players in the tournament that have taken away a game from the favorite. Okay, the favorite, Tyler, how do you say his last name?
Wasilowski.
Wasilowski, is that right? Okay. Anyway, I think, are we going to get the game started here in a second?
Yeah, let's get it on. Let's go.
Okay.
Go for it.
Maybe not. All right, we're going to have to wait a minute to get a go-ahead from someone, I guess.
In the meantime, I know that a little bit of nerves is going to play into this too. It's $700 on the line between third and second place. This is definitely going to result in cash. The question is how much money? And for these guys, that's a couple of paychecks sometimes. So they're really excited about this match. They're really excited to be in second and third place. But additionally, there's just going to be a lot of pressure on it.
All right, we got the game starting here.
Here we go, 0. This is on Blue Storm. If you're unfamiliar with this map very much tests essentially micromanagement and troop movement across the field. It can be very difficult to move your unit simply because, as you'll see in a second, there's gaps across the field. We've got G5 starting in the upper right-hand corner in blue, and we have Louder in the bottom right-hand corner in white. Protoss versus Protoss tends to be a very, very precise matchup.
Right, Protoss versus Protoss. This is actually, a lot of people I don't think like this matchup very much. Because it is a mirror matchup, you're seeing a lot of the same units going against each other. Personally, I am of the opposite opinion. I love Protoss versus Protoss because it is a game of such precision. I mean, both players often will have mirror builds. They'll be doing basically the same build order because they've both honed their builds so closely, so finely, to such a close degree that they'll just be doing almost exactly the same thing. And that's why I enjoy it, because it comes down to just a sheer test of skill when the battles happen. Again, there are usually divergences as well. Sometimes one player will go for Reavers and the other will go for Dark Templar. Sometimes they'll try and go all in, go for some quick tech, try and get some units out, some powerful units out early on. But again, you know, that sort of thing can be countered, so it's hard to really say whether it'll work or not. It's all kind of a game of, it's like rock, paper, scissors, except there's like 35 different tools that are all counteracting against each other, and you have to try and figure out what the other player is doing, try and do something to counteract it again, and you know, just trying to figure out what the other player is doing. And in that same vein, scouting, for those of you who don't know StarCraft, scouting is when you send, like this here, we got the first probe moving out here, and possibly to build a building, and we're seeing it move out, and scouting is going to be very important basically because you want to know exactly what the other player is doing. You want to know what they're doing in order to be able to go against it basically. So, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, there is a chance that the players are able to hear us in this matchup. So we do apologize ahead of time. We're not going to be able to go into a lot of details about what is occurring on the screen because of the fact that we don't want to give away one person's strategy to the other person. But in this case, we have G5 moving in here. He's scouting Louder's base, so he's already seeing exactly what Louder is doing. So obviously he already knows, so we can talk about it. Going for a 2-gate build. Very, very standard build on this map. It's such a small map, it's easy to get to the other player's base. So usually you see a 2-gateway build in order to get some quick units out, just in case the other player rushes you as well. Usually they go into an expansion, but we'll have to see what these players do, if they mix it up or not.
So you can see G5 is getting an eyeful of information on both sides, as is Louder. Both players doing a little bit Zealot probe dance. It's little damage on this probe already. Essentially running around trying to get an idea of what's going on in the field. They already see that there's a 2-gateway build opening, which is pretty standard on Blue Storm. It's very difficult to go any other sort of build just because of the open ramp in the front door. And here's the little Zealot dance, just trying to chase down that probe scout. Everything is, it's just extremely important to keep that probe alive. And right now we see him running up and trying to die in expansion, isn't quite able to. Second Zealot coming out, and in the meantime, same thing happening on the opposite end. Pylon on the Nexus point, so he's not going to be able to take an additional expansion. Whereas on the opposite side, we see that the expansion has also been denied, but there is a pylon visit. Usually they'll try to run up, get that pylon down, try to get in position to just prevent that pylon from going down, but just that little bit of delay as a result, getting that additional expansion up.
Right, like I said, the usual build on this map is to go for a 2-gateway build into a Nexus. Both players are scouting each other doing that. They're both trying to interfere with the other player's build. It looks like they're basically trying to save up, though, to try and get that Nexus down. They're not going to switch because of this distraction. You can tell these are great players because of the fact that even when something unusual happens, there's not... okay, that's random. A gateway going down here in the Nexus spot. Very interesting. And another pylon going down. So we got some cheesiness going on here, but just again trying to block that Nexus for as long as possible. And this is going to mean that Louder is not going to be able to get that expansion down until later than G5. G5 is going to have a little bit of an economic advantage going into the middle of the game. And for those of you that don't know StarCraft, economics are huge in this game, huge. One of the main reasons why you have an army in the first place is to protect your economy, because your economy, it's so important. If you get your economy rated and you lose a bunch of units that are doing your mining, it just absolutely destroys you. You usually have a severe disadvantage in the rest of the game, and it's just absolutely important to get your economy going and keep it safe as well. So not surprised to see them both going into a 2 gateway to Nexus build. Again, pretty standard on this map. You almost always see that on this map. So we'll have to wait to see if these players diverge in their strategies at all.
It's actually interesting because I think a big factor in this game is simply going to be flat nerves. Usually players are playing online. They don't have to worry about who's seeing them, and there's not a lot of pressure on. There's so much pressure in this match, and I feel like that's going to play a little bit into G5's favor. G5 tends to play excellently at events simply because he's the master of getting in, just relaxing. But Louder, with the pressure on earlier in this set, just all day he's been playing fantastic. This weekend he's really picked up his game. A lot of people are saying, well, you can look over Louder. He's really an old school player and he doesn't have anything going on. But man, he's just been playing like a madman. The APM has been off the charts. Just across the board, he's been playing fantastic.
Yeah, one of the reasons why these players have made it so far, I think, is because I was talking with them before. Both of them were explaining that they didn't feel any pressure going into the games, going into the first round, because of the fact that they weren't really favored in the grand scheme of things. Obviously, they're both top 10 in the United States, so they're both very strong players, but they weren't favored to make it as far as they did. And part of that was, I mean, that allowed them to kind of relax and not really worry about what exactly was going on. So they were able to just relax, get in their groove, you know, play, just kind of relax and not worry about what exactly was going on, not stressing. And some of the players were talking about how they did feel pressure, and that affected their game. They weren't able to play as well as they could. By the way, just for those of you showing up here to the greatest game on earth, we got a little fill-in here. G5 is the player on, from your view, the right side of the stage. Also, coincidentally, the right side of the map in blue. And we have Louder is the white Protoss player sitting there on the left side of the stage from your point of view. Two very excellent players duking it out here.
Looks like we got a probe scout running for its life from this Dragoon. Louder was just trying to keep that probe. Run away, oh my god. He was just trying to keep that probe alive as long as possible to gather as much information as he possibly could, but now getting ushered away by this Dragoon and going deep into territory. Actually, I was talking to Louder before these matches, and he was essentially saying, yeah, scouting and aggression, that's what it comes down to. I feel like if I'm in my opponent's space, if I'm applying pressure, I'm ahead in the matchup no matter what, as long as I'm not falling behind on my macro.
Yeah, that's something that yeah, Louder was mentioning to me too yesterday. He was talking about how one of his main foci for this tournament has been to try to keep up with things like, just the little things like getting down his pylons, what have you. The pylons are these, the building that you see right there. Pylons give you enough, basically what you would think of as food in terms of Warcraft. They give you psi. You need those to build units, right? So he's had a problem in the past trying to keep up with his pylons, making sure that he had enough to actually build units. It's one of the worst things in the world when you've got a ton of money in the bank, you've got a ton of gateways to build units, and then you find out that you're pylon blocked and you can't build any units, and you know the enemy army is coming your way and you need those units right now, and you just can't get them. And we have a Dark Templar, by the way, a quick Dark Templar coming out here from G5, trying to move in here, and Louder doesn't seem to have anything to detect the Dark Templar. Dark Templar is permanently cloaked. You need special units called observers to see them. There's the observer popping out right now. Perfect timing. He's able to attack that Dark Templar. Dark Templar is under attack. One of them running away, the other attacking those probes. The observer not in the right place, barely able to see it. Zealot's finally tracking down that Dark Templar, but not before it got a few kills. And Louder's got to be wondering right now, where did that other Dark Templar go? Did it sneak back in my base? Did it run away? I have no idea, because he's only got that one observer right now. Almost certainly producing a second observer, I would imagine, just in case. You always want to have a couple around just in case one of them dies. So a little bit of risky tactic here by G5. If Louder had detection a little bit earlier, that wouldn't have paid off as well. And so a little bit risky, but you know, just that's kind of these players' styles. G5 is known for coming out with just insane ideas and just absolutely crazy ideas. Very creative player, and just throwing you off guard. All the players, even the favorites in this tournament, were telling us, yeah, I'm a little bit worried about G5 because you never know what to expect from him.
A lot of people say, oh, he's a cheesy player, but really he's an extremely intelligent player. He comes up with extremely creative strategies. Right there, going with Dark Templar, to a degree taking map control, and additionally he can Louder's got to stay at home base. He's got to leave this observer. He can only go as far as this observer goes with those Dark Templar out in the field. That gives him a degree of map control. And it looks like he's going up. He's going to try to take a little bit of an economic advantage here, or in other action happening on field.
Yeah,
Let me give you a look at the backside of the base here, so you guys can see kind of what's going on, just kind of the tech that's going on, that's happening here.
Yeah, just to remind those of you that have just showed up, Both the players, unfortunately, can hear us talking right now, so we're going to have to limit exactly what we're talking about on screen, so that's why if you see something happening, oh my goodness, absolute slaughter there. Huge, huge victory for G5, dropping 2 High Templars out, casting Psionic Storm all over those probes. Wow, Louder just lost probably almost half of his economy right there. And just like I was saying earlier, economy is just so huge in this match. We're seeing how he's going to react to that right now. But G5 taking a definite economic lead. That means that in the long run, he's going to be able to build more units. He's going to be able to have larger armies, more likely to win the big battles. StarCraft is a game of taking a slight advantage and just expanding it and expanding it, expanding it over time. And actually, Louder coming in for a counterattack. He knows he doesn't have the units. He needs to deal some damage back to G5. Coming in for a counterattack. High Templar on the back. Let's see if they can get some decent Storm on Louder's units. Nice Storm on a few of the Dragoons. Not hitting as much as I'm sure he'd like. Very close battle here. Both players with about the same amount of units, but the Dragoons just in a lot better place for G5. Able to kill off Louder's Zealots a little bit quicker, and Louder forced to retreat here. Just a few lone Dragoons moving and attacking, moving and attacking, moving and attacking. Excellent control by Louder, but he just does not have the army to deal with this right now. And he's going to have a hugely difficult time rebuilding his army at this point because of the fact that he's gotten such a hit to his economy.
G5's really been in control of this game ever since those Dark Templar made it into Louder's base. Louder just a little bit delayed on that detection. As a result, losing some probes here. G5 took the economic advantage, and that just directly translates into troops, what you're seeing right here. G5 a little Dragoon heavy, so he is going to have to back off a little bit because there's a lot of Zealots on the ground for Louder, but Louder just kind of a desperation attack there. He knew he had to get something done. He knew he had to basically put some punishment on G5 to get back in this game, but right now he just doesn't have the units to get it done, and now trying to go in with an overwhelming group of Dragoons. The Zealots going in proximity, you really want to get those Dragoons, the Zealots in proximity on those Dragoons, and there's GG from Louder. He knows he doesn't have the units to get it done, and G5 just has no
too much. G5 just had too big of an army there. Excellently played by both players there. Man, G5 just taking a little bit of an advantage with those Dark Templars running in, killing a few probes, throwing Louder off a little bit, forcing him to go in, make some observers, kind of focus on a little bit of defense. He couldn't really move out or do anything to harass G5 at that point because he kind of had to stay in his base. And that gave G5 the opportunity to build up an army and move in for another attack with those High Templar. I think that sealed it right there. If Louder hadn't lost all those probes, I don't think he would have gone for that counterattack against the defended position and basically gotten defeated in that. I mean, that was kind of a last-ditch effort to try and move in there. Looks like we're going to head on here, move quickly on into game 2. Ready to see what's going to happen on this one. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, this is a best of 3. So going into this match, this is a must-win for Louder. Must win. He has to win this match. By the way, we're going to have, this is, again, we can't reveal the location because we don't want to give any unjust advantage to any of the players. But we're going to have G5 here in the brown Protoss. Louder's going to be here in the orange. Okay, so must win for Louder. If G5 wins this game, if he wins this game, he will take the match. He will be officially second place and he will move on to the finals to battle it out, to be the champion, to go on to Germany to represent the United States. Only one player is going to be going to represent the United States, so there's going to be huge pressure on those players in the final. And by the way, since this is the loser's bracket, whoever wins this is actually going to win 2 best of 3s in order to take the entire championship because it's a double elimination. The player has to lose twice. So basically the current winner of the winner's bracket, who goes by Noonie. What's that?
This is officially for 3rd place.
Yeah, this is for 3rd place, but I'm saying moving on, then they'll be battling for 1st and 2nd. They're going to have to win 2 best of 3s if they want 1st. Whereas if Noonie wins the 1st best of 3, that's it.
It's interesting that, wow, Louder's best map was Blue Storm. He said he felt dominant on Blue Storm PvP. He felt that that was his map. That was the map he beat Noonie on. It's got to be discouraging losing to G5 on his best map. And really, going into Othello really plays into G5's style. He's a very creative player. There's lots of opportunities to, you're in the dark, you can rely on your opponent not scouting you right off. So there's a lot of opportunity to be creative.
Right, and by the way, I just want to point out here, I mentioned at the beginning of this match how fast these players are. Take a look, if you will, take a look at these players' hands right now. Look how quickly they are moving around. Even though the game has barely started, they're just starting out their basic builds. They're obviously, there's no battles going on or anything. They are just moving as fast as they possibly can just to stay warmed up. All right, they're not. I mean, look at their hands right there, moving very, very quickly. And again, once the game progresses, they're going to be moving at least twice as fast as that. Once there's a big battle, they're going to have to be focusing their attention all over the place. Scout coming in here by Louder, he's going to be able to see what G5 is doing. He's seeing this quick tech build going on. Last game we saw 2 gateways into an expansion. This is a pretty common build to get 1 gateway, get your gas going, and then get a higher tech buildings like the Cybernetics core, so that way you can build the Dragoons instead of just sticking to the low tech units like Zealots. So what Louder's going to try and do here is going to try and keep his probe alive as long as possible. Again, this is just one of the skills of the game. You have to focus on your base, building your buildings, and going back and forth between your opponent's base to move your probe around to try and keep it alive as long as possible, to see what your opponent is doing as long as possible. So these players just have to move ridiculously fast in order to manage their base, build units. Later on in the game, they might have as many as 10, 12 gateways they're going to have to go through and click every single one in order to build their army. They're going to have to be managing their probes. They're going to be building expansions. They're going to have to be attacking. They're going to be retreating. There's a ton of things they're doing all at once here, so it's a game of incredible skill. It's almost athletic how fast and how much these guys have to move. After a long game, they're exhausted. I mean, even though they're just sitting at a computer, moving a keyboard and mouse, they're absolutely exhausted here.
Looks like we got a probe scout trying to get through. It looks like it managed to get through. That is huge. G5 was at a severe scouting disadvantage. He just got into Louder's base a lot later, but unfortunately, fortunately for him, he managed to get that scout in. If Manor Pylon here, blocking in some of those, trying to block in one of those probes. Looks like he did manage to catch one, which is going to be some questions whether that's worth the minerals at this stage, but he did manage to block one probe in, and it's also gonna throw Louder off. It's just nerve-wracking at this stage, trying to chase that probe scout off. Louder could have gotten a huge advantage if he could have blocked that off, simply because G5 would have been completely in the dark. He would have had no idea what's going on. And it looks like on the opposite side, now things have swung back to G5 because Louder doesn't have a scout in his base. He doesn't know what G5 is quite up to at this stage. G5 could switch up his tech like he's so good at, but he's still got the scout running around, although it looks like he's gotten blockaded in at this stage.
Nowhere to run, probe.
Poor probe. It never stood a chance.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's probably not going to be able to get back in the base to get any scouting information because of that either, but he's still going to try and keep it alive as long as possible, just in case he needs to move that Dragoon away. He can sneak in there. Yeah, colors again. Orange is Louder, again, for those of you walking in from the back there. You, sir, come on, take a seat. I know you want to take a seat. Watch some StarCraft. This is high-level StarCraft right here that you're seeing today. That pylon being attacked now, again, it's just kind of a minor distraction, minor economic disadvantage, but those are exactly the type of things that build up over time. As I said, StarCraft is a game where you want to take a slight advantage and just press it home and use it to gain a better advantage, and then use it to gain a better advantage. And, you know, this kind of thing can gain that slight advantage for you to just get you that tiny edge that'll win you the first battle.
Think about it, 33 minerals over how much time? Probe returns minerals about every 6 seconds. So that's a lot of minerals over time. That Manor Pylon is really going to pay off, especially in the early game, because it's the early game where little things like that mean the most, because that's when you can really press the advantage ahead. Looks like a probe scout getting wiped out right there. Louder still in the dark on G5.
Yeah, both players now doing a little bit in the dark. The thing about this game is these players are of such a high skill level that usually they can anticipate very easily what the other player is going to be doing because they know, they know themselves what is the best course of action to take. So they're going to be able to anticipate what the other player is doing, especially if they are able to get that scout in and see a lot of the buildings going up in the early game. You can kind of tell where those buildings are going to lead going towards the middle of the game. So they kind of know what to expect, but this is also the point where their strategies might diverge. One person, again, might switch over, try to go for Dark Templar tech. One person might try and go for Reavers. One person just might get a bunch of gateways and just go for a ton of Dragoons and try and surprise the other player by overrunning them. So even though they have an idea of what's going to happen, they can still anticipate some variation. They might not necessarily know, oh, scouts passing each other in the night there. Both players going to try and see what the other one is doing, trying to get in that scout. Just any amount of information, even to see whether or not the other player has expanded, can be absolutely crucial information.
You can see both players knowing that persistent scouting is the key to the game. This probe not getting very far, getting wiped out right there. The other scout not on the map for one of the players. And momentarily, yeah, we're going into the mid game here, and this is really going to be the crucial spot of the game. This is going to be the question whether one player can take a big advantage and just hold out, or the other player can go on the offensive. I know Louder's talked about how he enjoys being the aggressor, he enjoys putting on pressure, but you can't count G5 out. G5 is just he's a very creative player, he's a very aggressive player, and honestly, his mechanics this weekend have been phenomenal.
Yeah, both of these players have had really phenomenal mechanics this weekend. You know, I've been sitting behind them, watching over their shoulders as they played the group stages, as they played the semifinals, and these players, I mean, have easily matched almost everyone in this tournament in terms of their mechanics. They've been playing extremely well. Again, you know, Louder mentioned he's been trying to work on his pylons, making sure he doesn't fall behind in those, but he's been playing really, really well and just going toe-to-toe with, you know, even some of the best players in this game. Louder, for instance, no, I'm sorry, G5, for instance, actually ended up taking a game off of one of the other favorites, taking a match, rather, from one of the other favorites, Idra. I don't know if I've heard different pronunciations, so I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but was one of the favorites. G5 coming out, taking a match against him, and you know, on the other side of things, Louder going toe-to-toe with Noni. I'm sorry I pronounced it Nooni earlier. I thought it was Nooni. I used to pronounce it Noni, but then someone corrected me and said it was Nooni, so I was like, okay, Nooni. So sorry about that. But both players extremely, oh, huge battle coming in here. I think Louder has a little bit better position here, but G5 critically has that Reaver Scarab going off, hitting 3 different Dragoons, damage on those Dragoons. I think, oh my goodness, G5 has a huge advantage. That Reaver doing a huge amount of damage. Oh my goodness, G5, that one Reaver, clutch Reaver doing so much damage, obliterating Louder's army. Louder very respectfully GGing. G5, ladies and gentlemen, at least second place in this tournament. G5 is going to be moving on to the finals. Let's give him a hand for some outrageous StarCraft. And again, ladies and gentlemen, one more time, let's give a hand to Louder. Been going toe-to-toe with everyone in this tournament. Coming in a close third, Louder, ladies and gentlemen, David Fells putting up a damn good fight. Excellent. And ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that have not been following the StarCraft this weekend, we're going to have most of the games that have been played this entire tournament. They're going to be on WCGLive.com. We're going to be doing video commentaries, recorded commentaries of almost all the games, and we're going to be putting those up online. So if you missed any of the games, you want to tell your friends about this game, how epic it was, check that out, tell your friends. You know, StarCraft is a huge esport around the world, and most people aren't aware of that. And it's going to be even huger when StarCraft 2 comes out. So we're looking forward to some more good matches coming up.